This class is proudly sponsored by the LearnLift app. Now, if you are new here, ensure you are subscribed so that you will get notification from us anytime videos drop. When we say subscribe, doesn't mean you are paying. Just click the bell you can see under this video and it makes you get notification and information from us. Now, that is for that. Also take note that all the teachings has the notes. If you want my notes in the LearnLift app, as well as in the LearnLift app also contain the past questions as well as CBT. You're going to see under introduction to blood, you're going to see the CBT so you can play it. What shows that you understand every class is for you to be able to answer the past questions from that class. Are you with me? Now, in this class, I will be starting a series on blood physiology. And this will be the introduction to blood physiology. Now, don't just listen to this class casually. Ensure that you are with your notes and with your pen. And follow the classes right when necessary. Understand every fiber. I will not be too fast. I will not be too slow. I'll be explaining everything. The main aim of LearnLift is to ensure that we have distinction students in every medical school and every medical field. You don't just know it, you can explain it, you can write it down, you can pass every exam. Are you with me? So quickly, in this class, take note that this is series. So this is the first class. Now, after the series, after each class in the series, we're going to do the top 20 question as I teach every topic, we'll do the top 20 past questions. I teach it, we'll do the top 20 questions on that top topic. Quickly, let's start the introduction to blood. How are we going to study this? This is the first, like I said, on the introduction of blood, we're going to view it in the following headings. Now, about 4 headings we're going to view it. The first heading is that we're going to talk about the definition of blood. We're going to learn how to define blood. Number 2, we'll talk about what are the properties of blood. And number 3, we're going to talk about the composition of blood. What's blood made up of? Capital by saying the word, the function of blood. So this video, we are targeted on these 4 things: the definition of blood, the properties of blood, the composition of blood, and the function of blood. And take note that this is all in this topic, and we're going to cap it up with the top 20 questions. Let us start with the definition of blood. So quickly, let's introduce the term blood by giving the definition. Now, how do we introduce blood? I'll start by telling you that blood is in fluid connective tissues. Now, let's not rush that. 2 words here. Number 1 is a fluid, and number 2 is a word connective tissue. So, blood is a fluid connective tissue. Now, take note that in the human body general, there are majorly 4 tissues. The first tissue we have, maybe the right here, is what we call the epithelial tissue. Number 2, we have what we call the connective tissue. Number 3, we have what we call the nerve tissue. And number 4, we have what we call the muscle tissues. I said there are 4 tissues we have in the body. We have the epithelial tissues, we have the connective tissues, we have the nerve tissues, and we have the muscle tissue. Now, among these 4 tissues, you can see that we have connective tissue, which the blood falls in. We said the blood is a fluid connective tissue. So the blood is a connective tissue first. Now, take note that under connective tissues, there are 4 connective tissues. What are the 4 connective tissues? Number 1, we have what to call your blood. Number 2, we have what to call your bone. Number 3, we have what to call your cartilage. And number 4, we have what to call the connective tissue proper. Now, you can observe that we have bone, we have cartilage, we have connective tissue proper. Your connective tissue proper is your fat. That's your adipose. Are you with me? Now, your cartilage is what connects, cartilage, soft bones. And with bones. Now, if you watch among the 4 tissues, those 4 tissues, the only one that is a fluid among the 4 is what is blood. That is why we say blood is a fluid connective tissue. So, what is the introduction of blood? Blood is a fluid connective tissue. We said that we have 4 tissues. We have the epithelial tissues, we have the connective tissues, we have the nerve tissues, we have the muscle tissue. Under the connective tissues, there are 4. We have the bone, the blood, the cartilage, and the connective tissues. Among 4 of them, the only one that is a fluid is what we call your blood. Hence, blood is a fluid connective tissue. Now, let me give you a mental picture of your connective tissues. You can see that your connective tissue are divided into your connective tissue proper, which is divided into your loose, your dense, and your areolar tissues. And under areolar tissues, you can see your areola, you can see your adipose, you can also see your tendon, you can also see your ligament. Now, under supportive tissue, we have bone, we have cartilage. And under fluid connective tissue, we have blood. So, among them, despite we have the proper connective tissue, the supportive tissues, the only one that is a fluid, we are only focused on the fluid connective tissue. And the only one that is a fluid connective tissue is your blood. So what is the introduction of blood? The introduction of blood, that blood is a fluid connective tissue. That's all we are just trying to hit here. Now, the rest part of this will be handled in a scientific tissues. We're going to talk about your epithelial tissues, your connective tissues, your nerve tissues, and your muscle tissue. My friend, what is the introduction of blood? Blood is a fluid connective tissue. I believe you understand that. Quickly, if you say you understand that, let's now define the term blood. What is now blood? We're going to give 3 definitions of blood. Number 1, take note that the blood is called the fluid of life. What I call it, the fluid of life. Why is blood called the fluid of life? Blood is called the fluid of life because it carries oxygen from the lungs to all parts of the body, and it now removes CO2 from all parts of the body and takes it back to the lungs. Because it carries oxygen from the lungs and returns CO2 to the lungs, it is said to be called the fluid of life. It is called the fluid of life. Why? Because it carries water. Now, let me give you a mental picture. You can see that this is the lungs. Now, oxygen is being carried from the lungs to the body tissues. Are you seeing that now? And CO2 is now carried from the body tissues back to the lungs. Because the blood does this function, the blood is said to be called the fluid of life. Why is the blood called the fluid of life? Listen to me. Every part is asked a past question. So the earlier you understand it, the better for you. You should know that it is called the fluid of life because it carries oxygen from the lungs to the tissue and CO2 from the tissue back to the lungs. That's the first definition. Number 2, take note that blood is called the fluid of growth. Why is it called the fluid of growth? It carries your nutrients. 1, where is it carrying the nutrients from? Of what? Nutrients is from the food you eat, and from the food you eat, they are in the digestive system. So it carries nutrients from the digestive system, as well as number 2, hormones. Where does hormones carried from? Hormones are carried from your endocrine glands or your endocrine system. So it is called the fluid of growth because it carries nutrients from the digestive system, and it also carries hormones from the endocrine system. Now let's give a mental picture. You can see your digestive system, and you can see your thymus. And you've seen that, which is it's a gland, it's an endocrine gland. You can see that it is now carrying nutrients, giving nutrients to the body. So digestive system release nutrients, and your thymus carry hormone. What is transporting these nutrients is called the blood. That's why it is called the fluid of growth. Why is it called the fluid of growth? Because it carries nutrients as well as your hormones from digestive system as well as endocrine system. The third definition of blood is that blood is called the fluid of health. Now, why is it called the fluid of health? The fluid of health because it helps to fight against diseases, and it gets rid of your waste product from the kidney. Now, take note that your urine is formed from when blood enters into the Bowman capsule and filtration takes place. You know the 3 places in which blood are formed. We have your ultrafiltration, your selective reabsorption, and your hormonal secretion. Now, all these things happens inside the kidney. This is because blood, your afferent tubules goes into the Bowman capsule where filtration takes place, and at the end of the day, urine is produced. So, who carries this blood? That is why the blood is called the fluid of health. We said it's called the fluid of health because it fights against diseases. What particularly is fighting against this? Your white blood cells, right? And it also gets rid of waste product, which is coming from the kidney. Now, let's give a mental picture. You can see your white blood cells, which are your disease fighter, and you can also see your kidney, which is an excretory organ. So this gives us the 3 definitions of blood. So what are the 3 definitions of blood? Number 1, it is called the fluid of the fluid of life because it carries oxygen and from oxygen from the lungs to the what body tissue, as well as CO2 from the body tissue to the what to the lungs. And number 2, we said it's called the fluid of growth because it carries so what your digestive nutrients as well as your what your hormones. Digestive nutrients is carried from your digestive system, which is nutrients, while your hormones are carried from your what endocrine what system. Why we said it is called the fluid of health. Why is it called the fluid of health? Because it helps to fight against disease as well as to remove your excretory waste from the body. Those are the 3 definitions of what you should be able to take on your own to define that. Now, since we have talked about the definition of blood, let's quickly go to what we call the properties of blood. What are the properties of blood? There are practically 5. Now, except the added one we are going to add. The first property of blood you should know is that what is the color of blood? Now, there are 2 types of blood. We have what to call the arterial blood, that means blood that carries oxygen, and we have what to call the venous blood, blood that lacks what oxygen. Now, take note that your arterial blood is scarlet red. Now, most times, either you say scarlet red or you say bright red. Bright red. It's called your scarlet red or your what bright red. Why is arterial blood said to be what your scarlet red? Because of what oxygen. Because it binds. You should know that arterial blood has excess hemoglobin, and hemoglobin binds with oxygen to become oxyhemoglobin. Are you with me? So because of that, that hemoglobin is giving it that red bright color. Because inside hemoglobin is what we call porphyrin. We want to talk about that when we get to red blood, okay? But take note that arterial blood, what's the color for arterial blood? Arterial blood is what scarlet red because of what oxygen, or you say what bright red. While venous blood is what purple red, or you say what dark red. Let's use that also called dark red. So bright red, arterial blood, also call your what scarlet. Remember, we're going to take past questions, so I'll catch you. Now, and venous blood is also called your purple red, and purple red is also called your what? Your dark red. Let's give you a mental picture. You can see that this blood here, this A blood is called your what? Arterial blood, and this B blood is called your what? Your venous blood. You can see that arterial blood is what? Is scarlet, while your venous blood is what? Purple. So the first property of blood is what? In terms of their color. Scarlet red is for arterial blood, while venous blood is as a color called your what? Your purple red. Now let's take the next property of blood. The second property of blood is in terms of what? Volume. Now what volume of blood do we have? Take note that the volume of blood is divided into 2 in terms of what we have for what? For adults, and we have for what? For children. Take note that adult is 5 liters. So a mature adult has 5 liters of blood, while for newborn babies we have 450 what? Milliliter. That's less than a what? Liter. Are you with me? 450 what? Milliliter. Now, this is the volume of blood. Don't forget, adult has a volume of blood of what? 5 liters, while your newborn baby has volume of blood to be what? 450 what? Milliliter. Take note that some will tell you that adult is 5.5 liters. Are you with me? But take note that normal recommendation, we can say between 5 liters to what? 5.5. But this varies in what? In female, and you can know the reason why. Because women undergo what to call your what? Your menstrual flow. Because of the variation of menstrual flow in female, we say there is decrease of what? Of volume of blood. So in female, the volume of blood decreases to what? 4.5 liters. Take note of that. And that reason is because of the constant constant flow of blood every month. Constant release of blood, which is what we call your what? Your menstrual cycle, also call your what? Your weeping what? Uterus. We're going to talk about that in embryology, but this we are focused on the physiology of blood. So take note, adult 5 liters, newborn baby 450 milliliter, while in female there is fluctuation 4.5 for the liter. You know, women release this blood every month. We can also say that, come let me tell you, we can also say that women with the issue of blood. I'm just kidding, but you should know about that. The third property we're going to talk about is called your what? Your pH. Take note that blood is slightly what? Alkaline. It has a pH of 7.4. Now, let's go to our pH scale. You notice your pH scale, right? You should know that 0 to 7 is your neutral. So 0 to 6 is acidic. You are seeing that, while your 8 to 14 is what? Is basic, or your what? Alkaline. Now, where does blood fall into? Blood is 7.4. That means it is slightly alkaline. Are you with me? So blood is slightly. So what's the pH of blood? Blood is slightly alkaline. What's the pH of blood? blood is slightly what? Alkaline. Now quickly, the fourth property we need to know about blood is what we call your specific gravity. Now we have specific gravity for total blood, we have specific gravity of red blood cell, and we have specific gravity of plasma, which is plasma protein. Now take note that the specific gravity for total blood is 1.052 to 1.061. Please take note of these values: 1.052 to 1.061, 1.052 to 1.061, 1.052 to 1.0. If you watch, it's a difference of, you do the calculation, and I think that should be a difference of what? 9. So 1.052 to 1.061. Now this is specific gravity for total blood. What's not the specific gravity of red blood cell? Taking the specific gravity of red blood cells is 1.092 to 1.011. Now that's also a difference of what? 9. If I'm not mistaken, that's a difference of what? 9. Now listen to me. Let's evaluate that. When we say blood cells, majorly we have the white blood cells, the red blood cells, and the what? The platelets. But majorly this specific gravity is of red blood cell, because among all of them, red blood cell is what? Is more. We're going to talk about that when we go to what? Your PC value. Then let's call your specific gravity for what? Your plasma. Are you with me? Specific gravity of plasma is 1.022 to 1.026. This is the only one that the difference is 4. Are you with me? Because the difference between 22 and 26 is what? 4. So take note, specific gravity of total blood 1.052 to 1.061, and specific gravity for blood is for red blood cells, as the blood cells, is 1.092 to 1.101, while the specific gravity of plasma is 1.022 to 1.026. You see these questions recorded in MCQ. You also see them in what? In Viber. They can ask you this question. You should know them what? Of it. Now take note that that's for specific gravity. We have talked about the color of blood, we have talked about the volume of blood, we have talked about the pH, we have talked about specific gravity. The next property of blood is what we call your what? Viscosity. Now when we talk about viscosity, we are talking about thickness. So at what relation do we correspond blood to know the thickness? We are especially your what? When we are comparing blood to water. So blood, the ratio of blood to water is 5:1. That means blood is 5 times thicker than water, or you say blood is 5 times viscous than water. Come, let me tell you something. This is where they got that adage, where they will say that blood is thicker than water. You feel it now? So take note that blood is thicker than water. What's the viscosity of blood to water? 5:1. I beg you in the name of God. Now take note that the viscosity of blood is because of 2 things. Number 1, the red blood cells, and number 2, the plasma proteins. Among the plasma protein, majorly albumin. We're going to talk about this. There are 3 plasma proteins. Should I tell you now? Okay, let me just give them bad cut A, G, F. We're going to talk about them as we move. A is called the albumin, G is called the globulin, and F is called the what? Fibrinogen. So take note that blood is more viscous. 2 things. The red blood cells is making blood to be viscous, that is to be more thick, and the plasma protein. Now let me give you a mental picture. You can see that this is a blood vessel. You can see inside the blood vessel, you can see your what? Your red blood cell. The red blood cell is what is making it to be what? To be thick. So that's what we call your what? Viscosity. And we said 2 things causing viscosity: your red blood cells and your what? Plasma protein. Now also let me hit a point there. Take note that we have what we call the osmolarity of blood. The osmolarity of blood is between 275 to 295 million moles per kilogram. That's why we call it MOSOM. The MOSOM there is called your what? Million moles per kilogram. Million moles per kilogram. What is the value? We said it is what? 275 to 295. Please take note of that value. These are what we call the properties of blood. Number 1, we talk about the color. Number 2, we talk about the volume. Number 3, we talk about the pH. Number 4, we talk about the specific gravity. And number 5, we talk about the viscosity. 5:1. We also talk about the osmolarity of blood. I'm going to talk about osmolarity when we get to body fluid. Just let's take it bit by bit. Understand one thing at a time. If you say you understand this quickly, let's now go to the composition of blood. We have talked about the definition of blood. We have talked about the properties of blood. Let's now go to the composition of blood. Any part you are lost, pause the video. You can ask your question. You can send it. Ensure you are part of the general general WhatsApp channel, as well as the WhatsApp group, so that you can communicate your questions where necessary. And also take note that we said in the app, The app has under this app segment, you go to the notes, you see the note under this app. We also have the CBT MCQ topical based on this topic. Now let's now go to what is blood composed of. Let's start. I would like you to know that blood itself comprises of two things. You should know this before. Number one, it comprises of what? Your 45% of your blood cells and your 55% of plasma. You know, when you secondary school, high school, and you give definition, what is blood? Blood consists of blood cells, 45% blood cells, and 55% of blood plasma. Now, what are your blood cells? We have the red blood cells, also called your erythrocyte. We have your white blood cells, also called your leukocyte. We have your platelet, also called your thrombocyte. All these are under your blood cells. Now, what are now your plasma? Your plasma is divided into three parts: solid, liquid, and gas. Solid, liquid, and gas. We have the solid, which is 8%. We have what we call the water, which is the fluid, which is 92%. And we have what we call the gas. Are you with me? The gas is less than 1%, because if you total 92 plus 8, you already have 100. Are you seeing that? Now, that is 100 of plasma. Are you with me? Because plasma, when we talk about now, let this thing not confuse you. When we are saying 8% to 92%, remember that plasma on its own is 55%. That's when you are comparing it to blood. But if you are comparing the constituent of plasma, we total it to be 100. So you're going to say 8% of 100 of 55%. I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. So now we said that plasma consists of three things: solid, liquid, and gas. The solid is 8%. The liquid there is water, which is 92%, and the gas is less than 1. What are the gas? Remember that number one, we should have oxygen, because blood carry oxygen, right? Also know that we have CO2, that's carbon dioxide, as well as nitrogen. So those are the three things blood consists of. Now, first of all, we said blood consists of the blood cells and the blood plasma. Under the blood cell, red blood cell, white blood cell, platelet. Under your plasma, solid, liquid, and gas. We have explained your water there is just your water. Are you with me? Your gas is here, you have listed gases. Let's now talk about the solid. Are you with me? Now, let's explain. Take note that your blood cells are also called formed elements. Please pass questions. So, when you hear them that what are the elements, they are talking about your formed element are called your blood cell. Why if they ask you what is the matrix of blood, they are talking about your plasma. So, blood cells are also called your formed element, and your plasma is also called your matrix. Now take note that plasma is a straw-colored clear part of blood. Take note that is straw-colored clear fluid of blood. Clear fluid part of blood. What is it called? Your plasma. It is a straw-colored clear fluid part of blood. Please take note about that. Now, we've said that plasma consists of solid, liquid, and gas. You know what is in the gas? Oxygen, carbon dioxide, and nitrogen. You know what is in the liquid? Liquid is water. Now, what do we now have in the solid? Let's explain that. The solid component of plasma, which is 8%, is divided into two. We are going to call the organic and the inorganic. So, solid part, remember that your plasma consists of solid, liquid, and gas. So under your solid, we have the organic, and what are the inorganic? You know from your chemistry. Your inorganic involve things like your sodium, your calcium, your magnesium, your iron, your copper, and so on. These are called the inorganic component of your blood plasma. Now, when we talk about organic, what should come to your mind? That when you hear organic in biochemistry, in medical college, or in your medical field, three things will come to your mind. Number one is what we call your carbohydrates. After all, carbohydrates are organic. Number two, we have your protein. Number three, we have your fat, which are called your lipid. And number four, we have your hormones and your enzymes. So your hormone and your enzymes is what make up your organic. Are you with me? So we have the inorganic, we have the organic. What are the inorganic? We have the sodium, potassium, magnesium, iron, copper. But the organic, we have the carbohydrate, your protein, your fat, your hormones, and your enzyme. Please, I believe you understand. You should be able to explain the composition of blood. The blood comprises of your blood cells and your plasma. Blood cells, red blood cell, white blood cell, leukocyte. While your plasma, solid, liquid, and gas. Under your gas, oxygen, CO2, and nitrogen. Under your liquid, just water. And under your solid, we have organic, inorganic. Under your inorganic, potassium, sodium, calcium, magnesium, copper. Under your organic, we have your carbohydrate, protein. And this is what we call the composition of blood. Now, let's now go to this, what we call the hematocrit value. Now, let's say, for example, you extract blood from a patient and you put that blood in a in an hematocrit test tube and you add your anticoagulant to it so that the blood does not coagulate. Now, let's explain that. If blood is collected from a patient in an hematocrit tube alongside with an anticoagulant, and the blood is left for 30 minutes so that it centrifuges, means it settles down, take note that we observe two things. The red blood cell will run to the bottom while the plasma will come to the top. Please understand that statement. We said that if blood is collected from the patient and is kept in an hematocrit tube and an anticoagulant is added and the blood is allowed to centrifuge for 30 minutes, we said that the red blood cell will settle at the bottom while the plasma will come to the top. Now, this brings us to what we call your hematocrit value. What's your hematocrit value? It is the volume of red blood cells of RBC expressed in percentage. Now, among the blood cells we have your white blood cells, we have your red blood cell, we have your plasma. That volume of just red blood cells out of the total blood cells expressed in percentage is what we call your hematocrit value. Hematocrit value is also called your packed cell volume. What I call it? Packed cell volume. Packed cell volume. Now, let's give a mental picture. Let's say this is the hematocrit test tube. Blood has been collected and the blood has been allowed to settle down. Now, because the blood has been settled down, you can see that the blood has some component. What can you see on top? That's the plasma. Because we said that when the blood is allowed to centrifuge, what comes on top is your what? Is your plasma. What can you see at the base is what we call your what? Your red blood cell. Now, in between the plasma and the red blood cell is what we call your, you can see a white substance. That white substance is what we call your what? Your buffy coat. And your buffy coat consists of two things. Number one, your WBC, which is your white blood cell, and your platelet. Now, I know you wonder. You can see that among the blood cells, red blood cell is more. That red blood cell is 45%. So if you look at it, your plasma is 55%. Your red blood cell is 45%. If you total them, that's 100. In other words, that blood cells we are seeing practically, red blood cell occupy the most. So that percentage of red blood cells, the volume of red blood cells, which is expressed in percentage, is what we call the hematocrit value. What's the hematocrit value? Hematocrit value is the volume of RBC expressed in percentage. It is also called the packed cell volume. Please try to understand it. Red blood cell is highest among all of them. So expressing that RBC in percentage is what we call the hematocrit value. Quickly down, if you say you understand that, let's explain the concept called serum. What does the word serum means? Serum is also a clear straw-colored fluid that oozes from a blood clot. Now, take note of that word. Remember that we said a clear straw-colored substance is called the plasma. Let me write that well. Your plasma is a clear straw-colored fluid. Now, that's inside that straw-colored fluid, which is the plasma. When there is a clotting in blood, what is formed is what we call your serum. Now, let me give you a mental picture. You can see the first is your blood normally, which is within your plasma. This is the normal when blood is allowed to centrifuge. You can see we have the plasma, we have the WBC, we have your RBC. We say that this centrifugation happens when you add an anticoagulant. But let's say there was no anticoagulant. What happened? The blood will clot. You can see this is the clot formation at this point. This is the clot formation. Now, when this blood has clot, what can you see? There is a straw-colored surface on top of it. That clot, that clear straw-colored fluid is what we call your serum. In other words, what is serum? Serum contains all the constituents of plasma except fibrinogen. And your fibrinogen is called your anticoagulant. What is it called? Anticoagulant. So if anticoagulant is absent, the blood will clot. Clot means, have you seen where a chicken or a goat or a cow is slaughtered? Just give the blood. After some minutes, the blood will become so strong, it will clump. That clumping of that blood is because there is no anticoagulant. Fibrinogen is the one in charge of that. Take note that fibrinogen is absent in serum because during blood clot, fibrinogen is converted to what? Fibrin. So any plasma that lacks fibrinogen is called serum. So what can we say is the equation of serum? Serum is plasma minus fibrinogen. What is serum? Serum is plasma that lacks fibrinogen. And take note that, remember that fibrinogen is under your solid component of plasma. Plasma consists of fibrinogen. Are you with me? Fibrinogen is the plasma component of what? Of your plasma. Okay, quickly, since we have talked about the definition of blood, properties of blood, composition of blood, let's now discuss the last for this class, which is the function of blood. What is the function of blood? Blood has practically 9 functions. Number 1, take note that nutritive function. Why is it called nutritive function? Of course, you should know that blood carries nutrients. And what are your nutrients? Your glucose, your amino acid, your lipid, your vitamins. It carries them from the digestive system around the world. Number 2, respiratory function. We should know that blood carries what? Oxygen from the lungs to body tissues and CO2 from body tissues back to the world, to the lungs. Number 3, excretory function. Blood helps to remove unwanted substance from the body, like your urine. Are you with me? So blood helps to remove what? Unwanted substance from the body. Now the next is what we call your transport. Blood helps to transport hormones and enzymes. Hormones and what are hormones? Hormones are chemical substances which are produced by ductless glands and are transferred around the body. Now, what are number 5? Number 5, we have regulation of water balance. That's pH regulation. We are going to talk about that buffers. We're going to talk about that as we move on. Take note that blood helps to regulate water balance in the body. If if the fluid level is low, it will also affect blood level. Are you with me? Let's take number 6, which is regulation of acid, base, and salt. pH, buffers. So blood helps to regulate acid-base balance. Acid-base balance is called buffers. Are you with me? Acid-base balance is what we call your buffers. Next, what we call your body temperature. Blood helps to balance between heat loss and heat gain, because it consists of fluid. So anything that have fluid will help to balance heat balance and heat gain. Take note that blood also helps for defensive function. Now under this, you should know that white blood fights against diseases. Now specific white blood have their specific function. Your neutrophil and your monocyte help to engulf the particles by a process called phagocytosis. We're going to explain that in excitable tissues. Also take note that your lymphocytes are involved in immunity. Please take note of that. That's a past question. Who is involved in immunity? Lymphocytes. Immunity, lymphocyte. While you're a xenophile, help to detoxify. That's detoxification. And the last function of blood is storage. Blood serves as a storage medium for substances like your glucose, your protein, your inorganic substance, which are your sodium, your calcium, and so on. These are the 9 properties. These are the 9 functions of blood. Take note about them, understand them, and that is everything about this class. Who is now set for the big one? What is the big one? Get set for the top 20 questions. Every topic will take the top 20 or the top 20 past questions under that topic. That's what shows you understand. I hope you are excited. Now, first of all, pause the video, relax, watch it over as we go for the top 20 questions. Promise me that when we start taking the top 20 questions, you won't miss one. What shows that you understand is the past questions. I love you. Peace out. See you in as we take the next 20, the top 20 questions. See you in that class. Peace out.